Hello, my name is Elise Knopf. I work for Vocational Rehabilitation Services, or VRS, for the state of Minnesota. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm wearing black clothing with glasses and earrings. My hair is dirty blonde, depending on who's asking. I'm thrilled to be here today for this panel. We have a wonderful group of people ready to share their stories and experiences with work and school. This came out of a project sponsored by the Minnesota Commission of the Deaf, Deafblind, and Hard of Hearing, the hashtag Can Do Anything campaign. You may have seen it on social media, Facebook and Twitter. These stories are about diverse people and their accomplishments in their workplaces. I'm thrilled to be here today to talk about why it's vital for students to see people who are like themselves. Today's panel consists of hard of hearing individuals, and they will be sharing their stories. So I'll go ahead and start introductions. First panelist we have is Trish. Hello, Trish.
Hi, my name is Trish Allen. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am wearing a black jacket with a black shirt with pink flowers. I am a learning center specialist at the University of Wisconsin-Superior, and I am hard of hearing.
Hi, my name is Heidi Nazario. My pronouns are she, her. I'm wearing a burnt orange sweater and I have curly hair. I am profoundly deaf and I use a cochlear implant in my left ear. And currently I am Minnesota Hands and Voices DHH Guide Program Coordinator.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Anderson. I am wearing a black long sleeve top, long brown curly hair and glasses. I am hard of hearing myself. I wear 2 hearing aids.
Wonderful. Thank you for introducing yourselves. And as we all know, we have a lot of different identities, whether or not we're deaf, hard of hearing, or deafblind. Whatever identity people choose for themselves, we respect. We know also that identities develop over time. For example, when I was growing up, I identified myself more as hearing impaired, and over time I switched over to deaf. I'd like to start off this panel with questions about high school experiences. Thinking back about what happened to you in school, please share, where did you go? High school, college, what was it like? Trish, do you mind starting?
So I went to Maple Grove Senior High in Maple Grove, Minnesota, which is a suburb of Minneapolis, Twin Cities area. I knew I was hard of hearing since I was 3 years old, so I was on IEP since I was in kindergarten, and I was immersed in the classroom since that time. And my experience going through elementary school and high school was that I was pulled out of the classroom and I hated it. I really did not like the experience of being pulled out of the classroom, so I would often try to ignore that, or I would do what I needed to do, but I did my best to ignore the fact that I was hard of hearing, or just push it to the side so that my peers would not realize that I was also hard of hearing. I just tried to fit as much into the hearing world as I possibly could and diminish the fact that I was hard of hearing as much as I could, to try and fit in with the hearing world. The people that I worked with within the school were wonderful and great, but my experience in high school was that I wanted to fit in as much as I could. The services were great, like I said, but my experience was I wanted to fit in because I was very much immersed in the hearing world.
Thank you. I know it can be really difficult in high school trying to figure out who you are. Such a challenge. I appreciate you sharing it. Next, Heidi.
I went to high school in Puerto Rico, a small town called Juncos. and the high school's name is Isabel Flores. In high school is when I learned that I was hard of hearing and that my hearing difference was genetic and progressive. And I did not know about any resources or anything that was available to me. So the only thing that I could do at the moment was talk to my teachers and my friends about how to communicate with me, or for the teachers, for example, I would tell them that I needed to be moved a little bit more towards the center, that for me was the best space to sit in the classroom where I could hear the teacher, I could also hear my peers. I had a lot of support from teachers, friends, and family as much as they could and as much as they knew. So it was overall a good experience. However, since my hearing was progressive, my hearing loss was progressive, I did have to learn every year about what were the accommodations that I needed and how to tell others how to communicate with me.
Yeah, during those years, it's so important to learn those self-advocacy skills, but it's not always easy to be able to talk about yourself or what your needs are. We need to learn first to be able to understand and then be able to talk about it. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. Cheryl?
I grew up in the small town of 800 people, Lake Park in northern Minnesota, which is up by Detroit Lake. At that time, we had a hard of hearing program, a hearing impair program, and we had students from around the area that came to our school. We had like maybe eight students there, and we had interpreters and deaf and hard of hearing teachers. And like Trish said, I hated to be pulled out of classroom too. I want to be like my peers. I want to be in the hearing world, and so I kind of go to speech and like, okay, nobody's watching me. If I go in this room, I'm in this room. So I usually go to speech when there's no changes in classes, but now today it's good to have speech. We had a really, really, really good program in our school. I was there for 13 years. I found out I had a hearing loss probably when I was 5 or 7, after my brother was born. Ironically, my doctor told my mom not to have any more kids after my brother because they will be deaf too. And mom ignored that and had 2 more kids, and they were hearing, they were fine, and she supported me all my life and told me to keep my head up, push forward, you can do it. My mom was always there supporting me.
Wow. Each of you has presented such a unique perspective on your experiences. Thank you so much. I'm thinking again about high school and the services that you may have received. Can you share a little bit more about the specific supports that you received in high school or in transition programs? Who guided you? Do you mind? Trish?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with my hearing loss when I was 3 years old. So throughout my time in elementary school, through middle school and high school, I had a case manager that I worked with through an IEP. I would be taken out of my classroom typically about once a week in elementary school, and then it would gradually decrease as I was going through school, and it became about once a trimester is what we had when I was in high school. Because I was able to work pretty independently at that point, and it was just about working on my goals of academic success at that point, and like really being able to advocate for myself and being able to inform the teachers of what I needed, and really letting them know I need to be at the front of the classroom, or repeating questions if I needed further instruction on something, if I missed anything. Really being able to stand up for myself if I missed something, because that was something that I really struggled with when I was in high school. So I met with the case manager, and towards the time of my end of my college career, I met with them a little bit more as I was transitioning from my high school career into my college career, to really talk about the accommodation process in college, because of the fact that it's a lot different, and I would have to opt into those services in college versus just being told that I had to use them when I was in high school.
That's a wonderful explanation about that transition from learning self-advocacy to actually being able to advocate for yourself in college. I know a lot of people really are trying to teach students how to do that. It's not easy. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Next, Heidi.
Well, because my journey really started when I was in high school. I didn't know much about the services or resources. Unfortunately, I couldn't really use any of the resources available because I didn't know what they were. The only thing that I had was the support of my family and my friends, and the teachers who knew that I needed a little extra help in the sense of maybe repeating something that I didn't understand, and moving me when I asked that I could move somewhere else. There was a counselor at school, and she did help us throughout choosing what would be a good career for us, what we wanted to do as a career. But I unfortunately did not know about any resources up until when I went to college. And there is when, like Trish, I was offered accommodations that really benefited.
It's true. Learning about what you need over time is what you need in order to be successful. Sometimes you're right, you don't always know what you need. And having family and friends to guide you along, that's wonderful. Cheryl.
We had a really, really good program, and honestly, I do not know how they find the resources that they needed. Like I said, we had several deaf and hard of hearing students, mostly deaf students. I want to say about maybe 7 or 8 for a small town of 800 people. And yeah, we all grew up with teachers for the deaf and hard of hearing and interpreters, and we've all had like hearing aids, those big box hearing aids that we had, and we had it color coded on the hearing aids that matched the microphone. We would carry the microphone around and give it to the teachers, and they would speak into that. And those are one thing that I really hate wearing, those big honking things. I just couldn't wait till the end of the day. But then, yeah, we had a really good program. I'm kind of surprised, coming from a small town, and I was there from the 70s to the 80s, and so that was way back, way back.
That is rare, especially in the 70s and 80s. But it's nice to hear about those experiences. Thinking about your journeys from high school to college and now working in different disciplines, how did you get there? How did you decide to be where you are today?
So my journey was not a linear path. I did not just decide on a career path and just stick to it and go to that place. I started in the psychology major and then added a political science major after that. And then I went into social work for my master's program, thinking that I was going to be a case manager working for like Child Protective Services in the county. Did that as an internship and really appreciated the work, but it wasn't for me. It wasn't what I wanted to be doing long term. And then looking back on my career, college career and everything, I realized that what I really enjoyed doing was learning. I really enjoyed that process. So I ended up finding the job that I have now, which is the Learning Center Specialist at University of Wisconsin-Superior in the Educational Success Center. So I run our tutoring services and work with students on academic probation and returning from academic suspension. And I work with them on building their academic skills and just kind of building their academic success and really helping with growth mindset and a lot of those things. And I work with a lot of students who do have disabilities and doing a lot of those things. So I selected this career because it's something that I truly believe that everybody has the ability to learn, no matter what background they're coming from, no matter what abilities they have. And it might take a little bit of getting there, but we can all get there with the right resources and the right tools. And I want to be able to help lift everybody to get to that place. So that's how I kind of, that's a short version of my journey, but that is why I chose my profession.
What we found out in the last panel, and in this one too, that our journeys don't always take the straightest route. I tell students all the time, just embrace the experience. It doesn't matter where it takes you. All of those experiences give us the skills that we can develop and use as we continue forward. I'm curious, we have Heidi next. Talk about your experience.
That is true for me too. It was not linear at all. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a vet. Then, when I went to college, I first started with tourism. I finished that degree, and then I went to education. So, I'm a preschool and elementary school teacher. And then after that, I wanted to go to occupational therapy. And the reason is behind all this is because I just wanted to help. I wanted to help students and I wanted to help individuals reach their goals. In that journey, my aunt who lives here in Minnesota said that there were a lot of resources here for deaf and hard of hearing individuals. And that's when I came here and I was so happy to find out the whole world of resources that I was missing out on. And that's where I ended up now in my current job, where I oversee staff who are like me, deaf, hard of hearing, and one deaf-blind. And what we do is we offer support to families that have a child who's deaf and hard of hearing, and we're sort of a role model for them. And it's something that I'm really passionate about because I wish I would have had that when I first found out that I was deaf or hard of hearing. It's something that it's really helpful to know there's someone else out there that is like you, that has similar experiences. So that's where I ended up. That's how I ended up where I am now.
Story about being role models. Yes, many students do not really have access to role models. How do we expect them to learn if they don't know anybody who is like them? That's very helpful. It's wonderful to see that you've arrived at that place where you can influence others. Thank you. Now, next, Cheryl.
I was a camper for a long time at a camp called Courage North, and it was a deaf and hard of hearing camp, and I really loved going there every summer. And so my path to going to college was I had two choices: go to Gallaudet College at the time, now it's Gallaudet University, or St. Mary's Junior College as a physical therapist assistant. The reason why I wanted to do physical therapist assistant is because I like helping people, develop their strength. We had one in our school, and I would be able to help them be their assistant. And then Gallaudet College University, I had a friend from camp who encouraged me to apply there. So I got accepted to both colleges, and I'm like, okay, which one do I want to go to? So I decided to go to Gallaudet, and it was just shocking for me because it was just like everything was just deaf. Big, huge city, coming from a town of 800 people. But I had a lot of friends, a lot of good support out there, and learning my way around. And then after that, I worked at an office in Maryland, and then I decided to work at a school, so I was like a para, and been doing that for so many years. Now I am here at the vocational rehab, and I always like working in the office too. Working in the school year, during the school year was nice, having the summers off. But my kids have grown and they're pretty much on their own. And so I like being back in the office and working. And I had a really, really good transition counselor at my public school who helped guide me to where I needed to be.
Wonderful. All of your stories and your experiences will really contribute to the success of our students out there watching and knowing they can relate and maybe think about their own journeys, who can be helpful to them, who are the right people to reach out to if they need support? It's not always easy. It's hard to identify sometimes who can be helpful, and it's essential to start somewhere, first by looking at one's own self, and then through that, I'm wondering about your experiences with reasonable accommodations. What kind of accommodations do you use in your current jobs or every day and in your home lives too? Would you mind sharing some of those? Trish?
So I am, my hearing loss is mild to moderate, so you can call that lucky. I don't know how I would phrase it. It's not lucky, it's not unlucky. It's just the way that my life is. So I can reasonably go through the world and wear hearing aids if I want to, or I can choose to not wear hearing aids if I want to. Not wearing hearing aids means that I miss things sometimes, and that's not always the best experience. So one of my accommodations is to wear hearing aids when I am speaking with people. I also try to have Zoom meetings when I am working because I am able to then put in headphones and adjust the volume when I am able to do that. Then when I do Zoom meetings, I can then enable the captions and they're automatic, and that's really helpful for me as well. And then just having captions whenever I am able to have captions is really just the very biggest thing that I really am. I really desperately need. This was something that I didn't have in college, and I didn't realize I needed in college, and I wish I would have had in college. And it's something that, looking back, I wish I would have requested it. But now that I am older and wiser, I recognize that as an accommodation that is a necessary accommodation for myself.
That's definitely something to consider in the future. What's it going to look like? Interpreters, captioning, technology, everything's changing. Holograms, algorithms, everything's making the future look pretty wonderful. And knowing that students will have different tools that are available for them in their futures. I'm curious about you, Heidi?
So my accommodations have also changed with time. What I've discovered works best for me, and also depending on the technology that I'm using. I used hearing aids before, and now I have a cochlear implant. With the cochlear implant, it streams into my iPhone, so I can take calls and they go directly into the cochlear implant. Helps me hear better. Of course, I don't capture everything, so the accommodation I always ask for is CART. I do like to have real-time captioning to read what I'm missing out on. With my current job, I have been exposed and very familiar now with ASL, and though not fluent, but when there are ASL interpreters available, I'm also watching them and kind of picking up because the visual communication helps a lot. When I'm communicating with friends that have no knowledge whatsoever about what is deaf and hard of hearing and how to communicate, I just tell them that we need to be in a place where it's not too loud, to look me in the face so I can read their lips, and just to repeat whenever I miss something.
Definitely, those self-advocacy skills are so important. And to use accommodations to alter the environment. Thank you so much for sharing. And next, Cheryl.
This is probably one of the bad things that I kind of did when I was in high school. I know I have the interpreter, but I've always kind of like look away from her. It's like, I don't need any help. I don't need any help. You know, I'm looking at the teachers and stuff. And I felt really bad now because now they really did help. The interpreters are there to help you so you don't miss out on anything. Sometimes I can kind of choose my world, be in the deaf world, just fine all the time, or in the hearing world. I've been in both of them, and I still am because my family is hearing. I have a deaf brother, sister-in-law, and 2 deaf kids. And so I'm always signing and interpreting, which I don't mind, but at the same time it's nice to encourage my family to sign also, what they do. But other than that, just be yourself. Back then also, I refused to put my hair up because I didn't want to show my hearing aid. And my deaf brother and I, when we were out in public, we would sign underneath the table. And we didn't want anybody watching us. But now today, be yourself. More and more people are being more aware of the deaf and hard of hearing people in the community. So just be yourself. Be assertive. Do what's best for you. Ask for resources. There are many, many, many resources here in Minnesota. Many. Just ask for help. Ask for assistance.
So we've been hearing some wonderful things and hopefully providing some resources and support. But I'd like to make sure we don't miss out on anything. So I'd like to have each member of the panel share creative ideas, creative solutions for providing accommodations for yourself. And I want the students to be thinking about their experiences as well and share that. Are there any solutions you'd like to offer?
So something that I was worried about when I was going into my career and something that kind of changed my path. So one of the things that I was considering was being a teacher, or when I was thinking about training tutors, I was worried about turning my back when I had to lead discussions or lead training, because when I turn my back, I can't hear people. But what I was able to do is train some lead tutors so that they could write things up on the board, so that we could lead discussions and be able to gain some of that perspective and gain the really necessary parts of training. So really what I'm saying here is don't let those things that maybe you are worried about holding you back get the best of you, because you can be creative with the way that you go about doing things. Like I was worried that I wouldn't be able to lead a training because I wouldn't be able to do really important parts of training, like leading a discussion and writing things on a board, because I can't turn around to write things on a board if people are going to talk to me. But I figured out a workaround to do that. So figure out those workarounds that are necessary, figure out those accommodations, because they work. They might not be the traditional way, but you can figure it out. And we all have our own journey. So just figure out your own and get there.
Wonderful advice. I always think it's important to know yourself, and knowing students as they develop during their high school time, those teenage years, those years are tough, especially with that self-consciousness students have. And I have told students that over time it will be fine. I think the benefit we have today is social media. So students can see things like the hashtag #CanDoAnything stories and be able to see other deaf, hard of hearing, and deafblind people and feel more empowered, and see interpreters on TV, captioning made available in all kinds of places. It is truly amazing. There are just so many benefits today. Apps on smartphones. It's pretty amazing. The world's different than what it used to be. We appreciate your stories. Are there any additional thoughts, tips, advice that you'd like to share? Anyone?
Don't be ashamed. It is, if you have a hearing loss, it's okay. There's lots of resources again. There's a lot of resources out there. Back then, I was ashamed, but then when I went into college, I found out a lot more information and resources, and don't be ashamed. I mean, be proud of who you are. Be proud of who you are.
I can agree with that. I had a very similar experience throughout my childhood, kind of having the feeling of not really belonging in either world, of not really, I wasn't deaf, but I also wasn't hearing. So I didn't feel like I fit in either way. Both of my parents were hearing, so they didn't really understand. And so I felt like I had to shun one of the worlds, and the world I chose to shun was the deaf community, which wasn't fair and wasn't good, and it made it so that I lost out on a lot of opportunities that really would have helped me. So my advice for people going into college, going into the workforce, going into their careers is really be vulnerable and allow yourself to experience the things that you need to experience. I work with students every single day of my work life, and I recognize how hard it is to ask for help because of a lot of different reasons. It can be hard to ask for help because you don't want to be a burden. You don't know if asking for help is actually going to get you anywhere. You don't know who to ask for help, but asking for help is one of the bravest things that you can actually do. So just taking that first step and just talking to somebody who you think might have an answer and that they can point you in the right direction is the best thing that you really can do. So just figuring out who is the best person to go to and go to them and figure it out is really, really good.
And I agree with Trish and Cheryl. And in my experience, I had a lot of people throughout my life when I was about to start a job that would say, well, how can you even do that? You can't hear. How are you going to be a teacher? How are you going to be this? And I just pushed through. So if you have a passion for something, if you have a goal, just go through it. Find the resources that are available for you. There are a lot of tools that you can use just to achieve your goals. So just push through to achieve your passion.
Well, hopefully the students who've been watching this will remember your words as they go through their journey. Maybe not today, but somewhere down the path in the future. In wrapping up our panel, I'd like to thank the panelists for coming in today, for sharing your stories, being vulnerable also to put them out there. I would like to briefly mention that DEED, the Department of Employment and Economic Development, Vocational Rehabilitation Services, VRS, provides support for students who apply for services. We provide advising through counselors, guidance on career options. We can help with research, work experiences, short and long term. We also can refer to other specialists who can provide you resources to help you with your journeys. We have staff available. We can share and provide resources to other agencies too. For example, the Commission partners with DEED VRS. The website link will be shared at the end of this video. There is an exhaustive list of resources there, and they're wonderful for you to have, so check them out. Thank you for watching, and I hope it helped you find something new today. Bye-bye.